everybody, Redman here with an off-the-cuff, unscripted screen capture video. A little bit about myself first of all. I'm fond of Japanese moving pictures, I like playing video games, and I love sports. Sports make the human species better as a whole, which of course means the same leftist, progressivist SJW locusts that are trying to ruin Japanese cartoons and video games are also trying to ruin sports. And there's no worse culprit than the absolute ass clowns at ESPN. Every time I open up the ESPN app on my phone just to see the score of the Rangers game, I'm bombarded with the most asinine, vapid, non-sports political bullshit you can imagine, whining about how Lamar Jackson is unfairly criticized because he's a black quarterback. White quarterbacks are criticized. It's what comes with being a quarterback. You get paid more than everyone else on the team, and everyone thinks they can do their job or your job better than you can. Come to terms with it. But every now and again on this app, I see something so ass-blastingly, mind-bogglingly stupid that I feel I have to respond to it. And that's what I'm here today with. Look at this headline. Brooklyn Nets Kyrie Irving bought house for family of George Floyd, former NBA player Steven Jackson says. I would have a question for ESPN. What in crikey fuck does this actually have to do with sports? Just because Kyrie Irving does it doesn't mean it's related to sports. I'm sure he took a dump at some point this afternoon. There's no reason to report on it. They're only reporting on it because they're a bunch of dumbass journalists that couldn't get a job at what passes for a real news outlet, so they got stuck with sports journalism, but want to make it all about their dumbass, basic bitch, NPC political agenda anyway. Let's get to the article. Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving bought a house for the family of George Floyd, according to former NBA player Steven Jackson. I can't imagine anybody watching this video doesn't know, but just to run it down, George Floyd is a man that overdosed on fentanyl, and then after that, everybody rioted. Now you might say to yourself, Redman, you're kind of editorializing there, aren't you? You haven't seen editorializing yet, but we'll get to it. The straightest factual rundown I can give is that George Floyd tried to pass a $20 bill while high on fentanyl, then died after a cop knelt on his neck. It's not, last I checked anyway, it's not 100% certain if he died due to the cop kneeling on his neck or due to the staggering amount of fentanyl in his system. Anyway, in the aftermath of that, people burnt down Minneapolis, Portland, the next part of Seattle, rioted in Houston, and basically just shat the bed for about a month straight. And Kyrie Irving saw fit to buy a house for the family of George Floyd. One wonders if the flat earth putz decided to buy a house for the family of the pregnant woman George Floyd robbed at gunpoint. It gets even dumber. Listen, Jackson, who was a close friend of the late Floyd, revealed on The Rematch podcast that Irving, along with other celebrities, had reached out to help Floyd's family. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. I want you to prepare yourself. Just mentally steel yourself for the absolute bottom of the barrel, rock dumbest thing I think I've ever read in the history of the species. Kyrie Irving bought them a house. Lil Wayne's manager bought them a Mercedes-Benz. Barbra Streisand gave them stock in Disney, Jackson said. Now, I don't know nearly enough about taxes for a man who has an education in accounting, but I'm pretty sure when you give somebody a Mercedes-Benz, that's a tax liability. And I do in fact know that you cannot pay taxes in part of a Mercedes-Benz. Lil Wayne's dumb fuck manager gave these people a $50,000 car that they're going to have to pay the taxes on in cash. I didn't even know you could give someone stock in Disney. I have a little investment account on Fidelity, but I don't know where the button to, like, give stock to someone is. Why, in the screaming name of Jesus Christ, would you give someone Disney stock instead of just cash? Like, what the hell is wrong with Barbara Streisand? What possesses you to do something like that? And it's not lost on me for a moment that these are the same sort of far left, virtue signaling liberal pinheads that will unironically complain about white saviorism, rushing to give the families of a convicted felon basically a bunch of tax liability just so they can slap themselves on the back and tell them they're a good person that stood up for black rights. But here's the thing, buying them a house is not going to cause one fewer black ass to be whooped by the cops. Buying them a Mercedes Benz is not going to get one black man imprisoned for nonviolent drug offenses released. Alright? This is just to make stupid people feel good about themselves. Which is the same reason this is even an article on ESPN. This has not one damn thing to do with sports. Barbara Streisand can't dunk. I doubt Lil Wayne's manager can dunk. Kyrie Irving can dunk, but he isn't dunking. This is just the stupid ass shit he does with money he's probably gonna wish he held on to in 20 years. I mean, even if you do sincerely want to help these people out, for whatever reason, why not get on the phone with them, say, like, hey, is there something I can do? And if they come up with, a Mercedes-Benz would be nice, maybe just let them rot. But I mean, there's like funeral expenses, possibly legal expenses. Don't be afraid to help them out, fine. But at what point do you think, you know what these grieving people need? Disney stock. How does your brain function like that, Barbara, you psycho? Let's read further in the article. Floyd, a black man, note the capital B with this shit. I didn't even realize this on first reading. ESPN and other media outlets decided to start capitalizing the B in black when referring to black people. Once again, this doesn't help black people even a little bit. If a black person hears this, feel free to tell me if this made your life better in any way, shape, or form, that people are now capitalizing the B in black. What it is with these people is, obviously, it's just pure virtue signaling. But it doesn't work if everyone's already doing it. There's always got to be some new way to signal your virtue to stand out from the other pack of virtue signaling dumbasses. You can't call them colored, they're black. Oh, you can't call them black now, they're African American. Oh, African American otherizes them. You've got to call them black with a capital B. Good going, SJWs, you cured slavery. Fucking Christ. Anyway, Floyd, a black man, died in Minneapolis in May while in police custody after a white officer kneeled on Floyd's neck for more than 7 minutes. His death sparked a wave of protests across the country. That is editorializing. When 7-Elevens are burned, it's not a protest, it's a riot. When Targets are looted, it's not a protest, it's a riot. When Seattle is annexed, it's not a protest, it's insurrection. And at the risk of repeating myself, this has not one goddamn thing to do with sports. This is why the NBA's ratings shat the bed. When people tune in to a sporting event, they want to see a sporting event. They don't want social justice lecturing by a bunch of college dropouts that can barely read the name on the back of their own fucking jersey. Irving has been active off the court on social justice matters. Well, if it's off the court, why do you think anybody cares? I barely care about him on the court, largely because of this stupid crap. Frankly, if I wanted to watch a bunch of grown-ass adults run around, fall over, and cry, I just watch soccer, which is why I don't watch soccer, because I don't want to see a bunch of grown-ass adults cry over the slightest bit of contact. Which is why the NBA has been unwatchable for at least a decade. In July, he committed $1.5 million to supplement the income of WNBA players who chose not to play the 2020 season in their bubble, whether because of coronavirus concerns or social justice reasons. There are a few things to mention here. First, and most hilarious, is that he feels the need to supplement the income of WNBA players because they don't make any money, because nobody wants to watch them play basketball, because they are terrible at it. Secondly, any pro athlete refusing to play their sport because of coronavirus concerns is a moron. I don't think there's a sport on earth that, at a professional level, is less dangerous to your health than the coronavirus for, obviously somebody of the age and physical fitness to be able to play sports professionally in the first place. Lastly, and possibly most bafflingly, is sitting out because of social justice reasons. Even if you believe you have a useful platform as a pro athlete to talk about political shit, if you refuse to play games, nobody's going to give a shit. Because if you refuse to play games, you cease to be a professional athlete and are now just a dumbass who dropped out of college freshman year with about a 2.1 GPA. No one wants to listen to you regardless, frankly, but they might actually suffer through your bullshit if you're going to go hit some layups afterwards. The article continues with the most just pointless paragraph I think I've ever read in my life. My long, sorry-ass motherfucking life. It says, last week, while away from the Nets, Irving appeared on a Zoom call with others who were showing support for the campaign of a Manhattan District Attorney candidate. I don't know why this is in the article. Not only does it not have a damn thing to do with sports, neither does the rest of the article, but it doesn't really have a damn thing to do with the rest of the article. Could you have put it in here just to pad the length of the article because there wasn't nearly enough to worth writing an article for in the first place, but you still wanted to shove your fucking trendy political takes down everyone's throat when they're just trying to look up the fucking Yankees free agent signings? You jackasses. Why not name the district attorney candidate? You're just going to say a Manhattan district attorney candidate? I imagine there's more than one. There's probably several. What sort of farce of journalism is this? And now, hastily, to try to connect this pile of fecal matter back to, sports, the alleged topic of ESPN, Irving has missed 7 straight games due to a combination of personal reasons, NBA mandated quarantine, and ramping up of basketball activities ahead of his return. He is averaging 21 points, 5.3 rebounds, 6.1 assists, pretty good fucking line, in 7 games this season for Brooklyn. Like I said at the beginning, I love sports. And people like this, the idiots who write these articles, the numpty basketball players who think they're fucking Martin Luther King, are ruining sports. Sports are just supposed to be two people or two groups of people seeing who is better, faster, stronger, or at the very least doing tremendous violence to each other over the possession and position of a leather ball. And while that sounds silly, it does make the human species smarter, faster, tougher, and more inspired than they otherwise would. So this cancerous shit really pisses me off. And I'm just going to keep ranting about it every time I see something this outrageously stupid. Until next time, y'all take care. See ya.